What's good, y'all? It's your boy Erwin 3068, and today, UFC Qatar has just wrapped up not too long ago, and Arman Sarukian defeats Dan Hooker by second round submission. And all I can say to that is, nothing. Honestly, people with brains knew that Arman was just going to run through Dan Hooker. Who else thought that Dan Hooker even had a chance? We're talking about Arman, who wants to challenge for the title at 155 against Ilia Topuria. And he showed that he's levels above all of these guys, most of these guys at least, in the 155 pound division. And, it was a really good performance. And in my opinion, I think it grants him a title shot. And in my opinion, if Ilia doesn't, give him a shot, I think he's ducking, and everybody knows this. Everybody's going to agree with me, and, everybody online says the same, even though I don't care what other people's opinions are. I just think that, Ilia is ducking if he doesn't give Arman the chance. We're talking about the number one contender. He was going to fight Islam at 155. And, in my opinion, there's fights at 155 that should have been made long ago. Especially, maybe Arman versus Paddy, or Paddy versus Justin Gaethje. That would be a banger fight. That would be a good fight to make if Justin really wants to make a statement. In my opinion, I don't think anyone has talked about that fight too much, and it should be talked about more. Congrats to Arman Sarukian. He deserved it, and he did. Yeah, he's just a beast in my opinion. Arman's really underrated with his jiu-jitsu and his wrestling, and I really do think he's gonna give Ilia a run for his money, and there's no doubt in my mind that that's gonna be the case. But anyways, next fight we're gonna get to Ian Garry versus Belal Muhammad. And wow, what a fight. What a slugfest, actually. It wasn't a boring fight by all means, but Ian Garry just, I don't know, this might be an unpopular opinion, but Ian Garry just did not show levels in this fight. Belal was still touching him a lot, and, Belal even weathered through some of his right hands that he threw. And he just went through, Belal Muhammad just basically went through everything Ian Garry had, just like he did with JDM. But Belal just can't, the problem with Belal is he can't out wrestle Ian Garry or a guy like JDM. He just can't. Even a guy like, Sean Brady, which he TKO'd, I think, in the third or fourth round. But yeah, man. At the end of the day, it's like Belal has a problem with wrestling, and I think he needs to train with Islam and Khabib more, because I've noticed that in the Ian Garry fight and in the JDM fight, he's tried to take both of these guys down, and they just stuffed his takedowns. They just straight up did not give in, and it's like he was so dominant against Leon Edwards, and it just kind of shows a hole in his game. Yeah, sure, he's tough, sure, he can weather through shots, no one's knocking him out in my opinion, but it's like
it's just your bitch ass
it's
up
not
and
a
spit it out.
striking problem. He's a good striker. It's just that he's a sloppy boxer. After the Leon fight, he was definitely a sloppy boxer, especially with JDM and now Ian Garry. And yeah, that's just his problem. He just needs to, get better on his wrestling. But yeah, wrestling and his, jiu-jitsu upon all that. But anyways, besides all that, he's a dog. He withered through the punches. He withered through the storm. He might have lost the fight, but you know what? Bilal's just tough. He's just a tough guy, and my bad. At the end of the day, it's just Ian Gary's better. But I need to talk about Ian Gary. He's just look. He had a close fight with Shavkat on short notice. He beat Carlos Prates on short notice. I just didn't see any improvement in this fight with Bilal. And it just kind of shows to me that he's just not ready for a guy like Islam or ready for a guy like Khamzat if he decides to move up. And he's just not ready for certain guys in the division. And, it showed with Bilal, in my opinion. Even though he was able to stop most of Bilal's takedowns, he was still getting touched up a lot. He still got bloodied up, maybe just like one little cut on his cheek. But still, it did show that there's holes in his game still that he needs to fix if he really does want to become champ. Because at the end of the day, Shavkat also had a torn ACL and he was also sick. So, in my opinion, if Ian Gary can't beat a fighter like that, then, I don't know if he's champ material. But like I said, he's improved since the Carlos Prates fight. And, he showed levels with Carlos Prates. And we've seen how good Ian Gary is now because Carlos Prates has just knocked out Leon Edwards, a guy who's never been knocked out, especially like that. He has been stopped against Kamaru Usman, I think. And, it was just a masterclass performance from both guys, Shavkat and Ian Gary. And, Shavkat just managed to pull off the win, and Ian Gary didn't. So, I don't really know what to say about Ian Gary at this point. Yeah, sure, go for Islam. I really don't care. But I just don't think he's ready for Islam. I think he's going to lose badly. I think he is going to get taken down fairly easily by Islam. And I think Islam's striking is very underrated. Very underrated. I think he can strike with Ian Gary and possibly beat him on the feet or possibly knock him out. There's a whole bunch of possibilities at the end of the day. Islam did just move up to the 170 pound division, so we're gonna see how he does against the other guys. But anyways, I just think Islam dominates the whole division, in my opinion at least. But yeah, anyways, yeah, that was UFC Qatar pretty much. Oh, and we also got to see Ian Gary and Khamzat behind the scenes backstage after the main event. There's a lot of conflicting stories with this, and there's a lot of sides taken. And from what I've seen, Ian Gary, I think, initiated the brawl, or he initiated the confrontation, because I don't know, in my opinion, he's just a really sneaky guy. Like, he acts nice to you, but in reality, he's really disrespecting you. And you could just see in the video, in my opinion. So Khamzat wasn't wrong to push him or tell him he's going to fuck him up, because at the end of the day, Ian Gary was just provoking. As we all know, he likes to provoke, and, it's not a secret. He hides behind this nice guy persona, but as we all know, he's just kind of a scumbag. But at the end of the day, they're all fighters, it's all fighter drama, and it's the fighting business, all of them are going to fight eventually, and they're going to see who's the best, and then they'll be buddies after, probably. So you never know. But yeah, I mean, it was just a small brawl, nothing really big, really. But yeah, I mean, it was a banger card, banger confrontations, especially with Khamzat. As we all know, he loves the confrontation, he's not afraid of anyone. He's not afraid to tell anyone to their face that he'll fuck them up. So, yeah. And I don't think they'll ever fight Khamzat and Ian Gary, because Ian Gary's at 170, Khamzat's at 185. So, yeah, that fight's out the window unless Ian Gary moves up. But I don't think he ever will, and not anytime soon. But, yeah, anyways, I do want to break down the, undercards, but I really don't know the fighters. I know I'm a casual saying that, and I do need to go get into more fighters and find out more information about them, especially the new prospects coming in and everything. But give me some time. I'm still fresh to UFC. I mean, I've been into UFC for 2 years, and in my opinion, it's been great. You know, I've been into boxing more for more years than the UFC, but at the end of the day, they're both banger sports, and they're both fighting sports. So it's just my favorite thing to watch, and breakdown, of course. But anyways, that was the video. That was my breakdown for UFC Qatar. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like and subscribe. And as always, I'm Aaron Yeager 3068. Alright, deuces.
What's good, y'all? I just popped in here to say please like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what y'all want to see in the next video. And if y'all don't do that, I'm going to come to your house, eat all your food, and shit on your floor.